I want to share with you guys an email that I received and my thoughts on this. It goes like this, and I'm going to read this word for word. Teacher, I had given academic IELTS exam on 3rd December and I got overall 6 bands. I got 6.5 in listening, 6 bands in writing as well speaking, but I got only 5 bands in reading. That's why everything is gone into vain. And at the end of the email, it says, I had taken online classes from, and they mention the name of this institute and the name of the teacher who runs this place. And this teacher calls themselves an IELTS trainer. And in the email, the student says, but they only took fee from me. He hadn't given me proper classes. This is so disappointing. Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't know any of the background to this. I don't know if the teacher really is the bad guy. It could be that the student didn't do the work. It could be that the student perhaps didn't have enough time to prepare, or their expectations were unrealistic. I don't know. So before drawing any conclusions, now the one thing I can notice is that reading this email, this student is struggling with their grammar. They definitely need to be working on their grammar, and if they're writing like this, if they speak the way they write, they're going to have a lot of trouble getting their score any higher than this, and to get past a 7. Now, I will say this, the IELTS is not just about fluency. You can be a fairly fluent speaker of English, but if you're making fundamental grammar mistakes, and if you're not using the strategies to meet the marking criteria, you will not score well. So I don't generally have a problem with teachers whose English isn't perfect teaching the language. I do have a problem with people teaching things that are wrong. I do have a problem with someone, saying that something is okay when it's actually grammatically wrong. It's okay if you don't use correct grammar when you speak, but at the very least, if you're going to be teaching the language, you should be aware of what is correct grammar and what isn't, and at the very least, you should be able to spot, mistakes in grammar when you're reading it, or if you're reading off a script yourself. And it's normal for people to make mistakes when they're speaking off the cuff and it's unscripted, but at the very least, you got to be able to write okay, or at least write something and be able to proofread it later, or as you're reading off of it as a script, you should be able to spot the mistakes and correct yourself there. But here's what I found when I did a quick Google search on this institute and the name of the teacher. I found a Facebook video, and in this video was an IELTS video where the teacher was basically reading off a script. They were reading off some slides, and they were going through a model response for a speaking question on the IELTS. Now again, it's okay if you're making mistakes in your grammar, in your speech, and you're speaking off the cuff. That is normal. But at the very least, you need to be able to catch your mistakes and be able to go back and correct them. And you need to actually do that on the IELTS to get a good score. That's on the marking criteria itself. That's exactly what it says. Now, this teacher who was reading off slides was making basic, fundamental mistakes with their grammar. They were getting their countable and uncountable nouns wrong. They were using the wrong verbs. The noun-verb agreement was all over the place. And there was inconsistency across their slides. Like in the beginning, they might get it right, and then for the rest of their slides, they'd be getting it wrong. It doesn't matter how fancy your idioms are. The IELTS marking criteria doesn't just say you need to sprinkle in idioms willy-nilly. It says that you need to be able to use a broad range of vocabulary and idiomatic speech appropriately. You need to be using it in the right context, and you need to be using it appropriately. That's what's going to get you the points, not just randomly throwing around big words and big idioms like it's confetti. Now, I will give credit to this teacher. This teacher in the video, they did have beautiful pronunciation. And that made me realize that's probably what they're using to reel in their students. Students who just don't know any better, they listen to how this person sounds and they think, oh, this person sounds American or British. They must be good. And so they spend their hard-earned money taking these courses, and they get taught wrong grammar. Basically, they get taught to use rubbish English. They get taught how to get a bad score on the IELTS. Look, two things that absolutely need to stop. Learners, listen. Students, listen. If you're going to go and buy an English course, look, you need to be spending your money with teachers who care about you. I've said this plenty of times in past videos. I don't care if you come to me and you don't enroll in my course. I'm happy to recommend you to go and sign up for a different course if that's what's right for you, for your needs. I'm happy for you to go and take lessons with another teacher if that's what's best for you, in order for you to achieve your goals and to improve your English. I've done that. Just last week, there was somebody who messaged me and they said, "Hey, David, I've heard you got an IELTS course. I do have an IELTS course." And this student said that they were going to take their test in a month. And I told them, look, if you're taking the test in 1 month, my course is not for you. You need way more time to prepare if you're taking my course, because my course is just 1 lesson a week. And it's done in groups. I told this student, if you want to be ready for the IELTS in 1 month, if you want the best chance possible in 1 month, then you need to be taking an intensive course where you're going to get a lot more one-on-one attention and feedback. And so I basically referred the student to a different course, to somebody I know who was running a more comprehensive, intensive course. And because of that, the student didn't enroll for my course. In fact, the student actually already had enrolled in my course. And then they said, look, if I'm going to take that other course, I actually don't need yours. Could I please cancel my subscription? I said, yeah, of course. So I canceled this student's subscription and I gave them a refund so that they could use their money more effectively and go take another course with somebody else that's going to be more beneficial for them. So here's what I'd say to you. Before you enroll for a course, ask me for my opinion. And if I don't know about that person, tell me what your needs are. Tell me what you're preparing for. Is it the IELTS? Is it for a job interview? Is it to go to the UK? Whatever. Let me know what your needs are. What are you trying to achieve? And I might have a course for it. And if I do, I'm going to recommend it to you. If I don't, and I know some other teacher who does have a course for that, I'm going to recommend them. It's as simple as that. And I've done that plenty of times in the past. I had a company that contacted me and said, "Hey, can you come and train our staff?" And I said, "No, I don't have the time to do that. I'm working a full-time job. I really can't take on some responsibility that big." And instead of just kind of, trying to take the money and perhaps not offer a product that's actually going to be right for them, I referred them to another teacher. One of my colleagues who I know, who I trust, who I know offers quality lessons, and I referred them over. I didn't get a commission or anything. I didn't do that for money. I did that because I care. And I know for a fact that the teachers that I associate with, the other teachers that I associate with, they are the same. Their attitude towards their students is the same. They care. That's what makes them different. So anyways, students, listen. Accent doesn't make a teacher right for you. Being a native in and of itself doesn't make a teacher right for you. Instead, what makes a teacher right for you is that they are going to teach you the right things, that they can teach you the right things, and that they know how to do that. And accent and being a native, these are not the qualifying criteria. I know teachers personally who don't have an American or British accent, and they are top quality teachers. They will teach you good English. Their English is good enough for them to get a 9 on the IELTS. Their English is probably better than that of some natives. This really does upset me when I see teachers who are, basically promoting themselves as IELTS trainers, because IELTS is what gets you money. That's what sells. It's one of the reasons why I've started my own IELTS program, is because there's such a demand for it. But at the same time, one other reason why I started my program is because I know that there's a lot of people out there who are scamming people. I wanted to do something, to offer something that was affordable. Even though I can't afford to I can't afford to spend that much time with every student individually. I can at the very least offer a group training program weekly. I can offer something for $10 a month. That's super cheap. And I can offer something. That's not right for everybody. For somebody who wants more intensive preparation, they need to go somewhere else, and that's fine. If they come and ask me about it, I'm going to tell them to go somewhere else, and I'll tell them exactly where they can go, and I'll send them to somebody that I know that they can trust. And to all you teachers who call yourselves IELTS experts, if you have never taken the IELTS yourself, or at least a mock IELTS that's been fairly marked, and you haven't actually scored well on it yourself, or if you have no experience, if you don't have any experience doing that, then at the very least you need to have been involved in preparing the tests, or perhaps being an IELTS examiner. And if none of those apply to you, you have no business calling yourself an IELTS expert. And forget being an IELTS expert. If you are going to be offering lessons to prepare for the IELTS, that's more than just spewing out random idioms and trying to put on a fake-ass accent to fool your students. If you can't teach your students to use the language correctly, you have no business charging them for it.